For the first time ever, the women's championship game had more viewers than the men.
In recent years, there's been an inspiring surge in the prominence and recognition of women's sports.
Midge Purse with the goal.
Interest in women's sports has never been higher.
Their talent have delivered record television ratings and sellout crowds.
Flau'jae Johnson to the rescue.
Their ratings have continuously exceeded expectations.
And what a half from these young women.
The NCAA announced a new 8-year broadcast deal for over $900 million, with women's college sports making up the bulk of the deal.
I think that this is a vision of what is to come globally.
Powerful women drive the plays on and off the field. You're in front of a sold-out crowd.
When Caitlin Clark sells more jerseys in a couple days than the Dallas Cowboys did in an entire season, that's the free market saying loud and clear, we care about women's sports.
Teens and kids sported jerseys and sweatshirts from their club soccer teams and tournaments.
The women are kicking the men's ass.
Deloitte predicts revenue generated by women's elite sports will surpass $1 billion for the first time.
You know, you get the sports drinks, you got the shoe deal.
17 NIL deals worth 7 figures. That's where you're at right now.
From the national championship game, I mean, the price went up.
Today's the greatest day to be a woman in sports until tomorrow.
Look, it's crazy. I'm the one they want to represent. Young black girl, I could probably be the president.
Of all the things I've been early and right into, this is the one that feels so much bigger. Feels like a seismic shift of support.
I just shoot a 3, put my arm up, I guess I show up.
That was good.
That was fire.
Welcome, everyone. Thank you so much for coming. Today, we're going to talk about the rise of women's sports. This is an incredible stat. In 2024, women's sports generated more than $1 billion in revenue. That's up 300% since 2021. Alexis, I want to go back to a tweet storm that you initiated back in March of 2019. You kind of predicted all of this, and I'm just curious, like, what got you thinking about the long-term opportunity of women's sports?
Look, I love that they accommodated my introduction. I love the fact that I'd never been invited to speak here at Cannes on this stage ever about Reddit, and I love the fact that it was about women's sports. Sincerely. And I do my investing in public. And part of the reason that I talk this talk is I saw firsthand two things. Well, one thing that made no sense, which was in March of 19 with the upcoming Women's World Cup. I think Megan Rapinoe's team had sold for like $3.5 million. And I was like, it makes no sense to me that an entire team, could be worth so little when there's at least one person on that team who's at least worth that much in brand and marketing deals. And I was like, the math does not math. This is the greatest, opportunity in investing, and I'm going to buy an NWSL team. And credit to Alex Morgan, who you see in her replies. She chimed in. She was on Orlando at the time. We spent a day together, probably a month or so later, and I just took notes and asked a bunch of dumb questions, and she humored me. and I decided, okay, this has got to happen, and obviously it led to Angel City. But the thing that I got to see firsthand was obviously thanks to Billie Jean King creating pay equity in tennis, and then two, generational talents like Serena and Venus. You have a sport in America and in the world, frankly, where the women are on a level equal to the men when it comes to pay, when it comes to comp. Like there's competitive tension there, and yet it didn't exist anywhere else.
Right.
And here you had talent that transcended the sport thanks to social media. Just look at follower counts. It's not about feelings, it's about attention. And you have a generation of athletes like Midge, like Flau'jae, who have followings that are even bigger than maybe the leagues that had been built and that had not been spending the money to invest. And it was just a hell of a business opportunity. And it's been awesome to see that.
I mean, you handled that really well from an investment perspective. I'm also curious, just like from a professional athlete's perspective. You've been playing pro soccer since, 2017?
Yeah.
So what's changed? Tell me about the transformation.
We were talking about this the other day. What hasn't changed, honestly? I think if I had to pick one thing to talk about, it would be the attention and the visibility that we're getting. I mean, just a few years ago, women's sports could only garner attention, like global attention, for a few moments. it would be a World Cup or an Olympic moment where everyone would pay attention. And now we're captivating. People can't look away. So I think just the increase in attention and visibility has been the biggest change.
That's amazing. Flau'jae,
Yes.
you may be one of the only college students here at Cannes. You're definitely the only one on stage with Travis Kelce. So congrats on that.
Yes.
I want to talk to you a little bit about March Madness and just the fact that the viewership for the NCAA Women's Championship more than doubled this year. Like, what did it feel like just to be a part of all of that?
Yeah, no, I tell people all the time, it just felt amazing to be a part of history. I knew that in that moment, something amazing was happening and a shift was happening because right before the game, it was like, the tickets are like $400, like,
yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And it was like, wow, like people are really invested to coming and seeing us play, and the arena was sold out. So I knew before the aftermath and what would happen, and just to be in that moment and to be able to like just take it all in, I was like, I'm in the beginning, like I'm literally in the middle of this storm that's happening. It was amazing being on the biggest stage and especially doing it at LSU. Go Tigers.
Oh, wow.
Oh, we got some Tigers in here.
Wow,
That's right.
Also, wait, I got to double down on this because I'm that asshole. Like, the NCAA would not let the women use March Madness up until a few years ago. Check this.
Oh, yeah,
This
you
is
were
true.
saying this yesterday.
This
is incredible.
You remember the weight room debacle, right? Where there was a player posting this janky corner of a weight room during the tournament. And at the time, there were plenty of people showing up, and you can find my tweets, saying how stupid this was. This is not because it feels good to support women. This is because this is more captivating than the men. And what's crazy is that, and hopefully there's some folks in the NCAA here, when people look back on this, the underinvestment in women's sports will not just be a legacy of sexism and racism, because it is. It will be gross business incompetence. And I wonder, where is the walk of shame for those execs who have failed so miserably up until just a couple of years ago?
Yeah.
To realize that this was, again, none of this is about what feels good. This is about the fact that there is incredible talent that drives attention, that couldn't even get a weight room, that couldn't even say March Madness because, God forbid, it might hurt the brand for men's college basketball? Are you nuts? and nothing.
That's
but
wild.
That's fine. The free market's speaking loud and clear, and folks catch up real quick when the dollars are involved.
All right, well, we've talked about the numbers, but like, what are the cultural factors that are really playing into the explosion of women's sports?
Look, I think social media, we got some things right, we got some things wrong, but one of the most powerful realities is now the attention that matters as a sports team owner, like, is not necessarily where the game is played, because you know people are going to find that. It's all the attention and the connection that you can build to athletes and their fans, and they're doing it themselves. They're going direct thanks to these platforms, and they're building an audience of millions who care so much about their story, not just what they're doing on the pitch or on the court, but what they're doing outside of it. And you know, pound for pound, as creators, athletes are far more compelling than, you know, your traditional, let's say, just sort of general creator. And we know women outperform, I mean, utterly crush the men. These stats were obvious 3-4 years ago. You could just look at the follower counts.
Yeah.
And that's what people care about. They're not following because I mean, well, yes, it feels good, but it is not a, you know, charity project. And so much of what's held women's sports back is even well-intentioned people thinking it that way.
Right. Let's switch gears for a second. Let's just talk about brand deals. And I'm just curious, Midge, like, tell me about like how brand deals have changed for you throughout your career.
Oh, it's been a huge shift since the beginning of my career, and it's only been a few years, to be quite honest. Well, I guess longer than I expected. Other than just more money and investment being put into the brands, on a larger note, it's just more people are getting brand deals. It's not just like the top 1%. It's not just Megan Rapinoe and Alex Morgan who are getting big Nike deals.
Right.
It's more widespread throughout the league, and we're seeing it expand into other industries as well.
Flau'jae, you are still in college.
Yes.
You have over $2 million in endorsements. So tell us about that, and then also just tell us about how the NIL has like changed your world.
Yeah, no, and NIL has changed everything for me. The brand deals, first of all, it's a blessing. just to know my worth in this space, you know what I mean? And to be able to negotiate my worth, and even to be able to use numbers like the ones that we put up and be like, this is where I was, this is what I brought to the table, this is what I'm worth. Take it or leave it. You know what I mean? And to have that type of leverage. I was just on another panel with the agent who was Lisa Leslie's agent, I think, and he was like, they wanted a shoe deal with Nike, and Nike like laughed them off, right? And said, I won't give you a shoe deal. It'll never work. Women don't buy women's shoes. They only buy Michael Jordans, right? And said, I'll give you a check for charity. As a charity.
Oh my
So to see how far we have come from women's sports being like, okay, here's a charity, here's a small check for, just as a charity, to now I'm able to negotiate a shoe deal and that's worth millions of dollars. It's just like being in this moment, I really understand the responsibility and the accountability that I have to take for this and to make it better for the younger woman coming up. Because I know if I take the short end of the stick, or if I take a deal, or if I do something for free, they're going to tell the next young girl, Flau'jae did it this, Flau'jae did it that. So I can't undermine the worth of the woman coming behind me. So that's like the most important part.
That's really cool. All right. I mean, you have a lot going on, right? You're a sponsored athlete.
Yes.
You're a rapper. This woman just got signed with Roc Nation. Pretty amazing. I'm just curious how you even find time to go to college.
Man, time management, I do a lot of time management, but I take classes on what I actually like to do, so it doesn't feel like work. Like I take business classes, marketing classes, things that I want to do in the future, so it doesn't feel like work. And also, speaking of rap, I have my album dropping June 28th. I have to plug that.
Yes.
That was her music playing when we came
Yeah, that was my
up.
music playing, and my song with Lil Wayne is dropping on June 28th too, so y'all check that out. Slight plug, sorry.
Yeah. Y'all heard that right. Lil Wayne. That's awesome.
All right, look, we've got a lot of brands in the audience, and I'm just curious, Midge, like, put the money aside. Like, what are you looking for? Like, when you're dealing with brands and sponsorships, like, what do you want that relationship to be like? What's important to you?
Yeah, it's hard to put the money aside. That being said, I think the most frustrating thing for me is when you look at our league and you look at our industry of women, and there are so many women who have just special personalities, unique skills, and extraordinary talents. And they're funneled into this pre-packaged, pre-baked structure that brands have already designed for whatever product or campaign they're pushing. And it's like, why not specify and specialize the talents that you have and like the uniqueness of each person, and then bake that authenticity into whatever you're promoting? And I think that authenticity is what we're really missing, and I just miss it.
Oh, that's great.
Yeah.
Authenticity seems, I feel like you mentioned authenticity yesterday when we were talking too. That's really important to you. Do you want to talk about that just a little bit?
No, absolutely. I believe like that's how the best things happen. And I do a lot of NIL deals, right? And it gets kind of like boring at a certain point, because they're like, oh my God, you're a rapper and a hooper. We want to film you in the studio. We want to film you on the court. I'm like, can we please do something a little bit different, you know? So I think, what I do is authentic, but it's like different, like authentic ways to promote it as well. And I think that's important too in this space, because it's like, okay, you partner with a brand, we want to see you do dribble moves and say that you use this product. Like, no, like let's get really into it. Like, let's be authentic. Let's really create a story.
Well, it's funny, as an agency, we work with Megan Thee Stallion quite a bit, and authenticity is something that she also talks a ton about. And I remember when she signed with Roc Nation, they filled the room with Cheetos. And they did that because they knew that she grew up eating those. That was her favorite snack, and that would get her super, super pumped and excited. And when she was asked, like, okay, who's the first brand that I want to work with? She picked the brand. The brand did not pick her. She said, I want to work with Frito-Lay. And I think fans can feel that, like when it's really a part of you and it's authentic to who you are, they can kind of feel that from you, and they really like it,
Well, it's even the low-hanging fruit that I feel like we're missing. It's like the beauty industry is $1 billion industry.
Yes.
And they haven't yet tapped into women's sports.
It's like, hello, look, you're both beautiful women. Makeup is like a part of who you
Beauty
are.
and fashion.
Come on now.
It's...
Go ahead. It was my point, but go ahead.
Let's go with it. You're absolutely right, and that's all I'm going to say. Please keep going.
No, I want to hear what you're going to say. Go ahead.
Okay. I'm just here to provide color commentary and rant. It is ridiculous that we were tricked into believing that we care about NBA pregame fits. No one actually wants to see what these dudes are wearing. Spoiler. But I got a feeling the alignment of fashion and women could be lucrative. I'm just saying. I have a hunch.
Absolutely.
And all it takes is just asking and then listening. Like, what do you think works? And so to that point.
Fantastic. It was
Good.
completely aligned.
All right, great.
Let's talk a little bit more about sports and business. Alexis, you mentioned a stat the other day, and it was the correlation between women who play sports and then their success in business.
I mean, the lowest, it's hard. Obviously, this isn't the most empirical study, but the lowest numbers put it at like 2/3 of women in senior leadership positions, business positions, played sports growing up. So at a minimum, the reason, there is a actual trickle-down effect that happens when the women at the very highest levels of the sport can actually play it professionally for a living, which has been new. We still, pay equity is still not solved in professional women's sports, but these NIL checks help change the narrative because they help force owners to be like, okay, the economics must make sense for these brands, so we got to start paying more.
Right.
But that effect is going to start trickling down because it's going to mean as we get more multimillionaires who are professional athletes for all kinds of women's sports, more young girls can decide, yes, I'm going to stay in this, I'm going to pursue this, I'm going to continue this. And again, if y'all just like excellence, which I hope and trust you all do, there is a ripple effect this will have societally. Because yes, it'll mean we'll continue to dominate in sports, which as Americans we love doing. Sorry for those of you who are not Americans, but we're very proud of representing. There's Olympics coming up. But you're going to see that trickle-down effect because those young girls are going to have more opportunities and they're going to bring that excellence with them into the C-suite, into the boardrooms. They're going to be founding the companies that hopefully I'll get to invest in. And we're all going to live in a better world simply because we're just getting to watch more excellence and more greatness. Like, that's a pretty good deal, right? And I think the other part that I'm so impressed by is we're now in this era finally where we've stopped, maybe it still exists, but I feel like we've now gone past the role model phase where women athletes have to just be role models. Nobody's out here in a press conference asking LeBron, like, how does it feel to inspire a generation of young boys to play basketball? Like, no, right? And what's so exciting is, again, the more that you understand about these athletes as humans, the more you find opportunities to be fascinated by this story, be inspired by it, be angry about it, be motivated by to feel all the feelings that male athletes are allowed to have.
I want to go back to that tweet storm from 2019. You said a lot of things in that tweet storm.
Very ranty.
But one of the things you said was, you asked, how do I become an owner of an NWSL team?
Yes.
And you mentioned this. Alex Morgan tweeted back at you and she said, okay,
Yeah.
how can I help you with that?
Yes.
Cut to now, you are the principal owner of Angel City.
Yes, ma'am.
Like, how did that come about? How did it happen?
I mean, like I said, Alex was willing to answer all my dumb questions, and I got to spend that time with her. And whether it's been now, most recently in women's track, I ran the exact same playbook with Gabby Thomas, who I actually met through Midge because they went to school together. And as the offseason came together, it was a brilliant idea that Midge had that just sounded like needed a little bit of capital. And
with Angel City, I think it's reported to be worth $200 million now, so that was probably a pretty good investment.
The price of expansions for the NWSL has gone up significantly since. The price of expansions for the W has gone up significantly. Like, you're seeing more and more investment in the existing leagues. You're seeing new leagues get created, from volleyball to, I just heard another one yesterday. I'm blanking on the sport. The National Women's Hockey League had their first season last year. Like, there's tons of investment starting to come, and we're still in the earliest days of it. So you're basically going to get the chance to invest now and look really right in 10 years on one of probably the shortest trajectories I've ever seen in my career. And I've built some successful companies before. I mean it. I've never felt like there was a more obvious thing than women's sports.
Oh, that's awesome. I want to talk about fandom for a second. Fandom for women's sports. We, as an agency, I work at Goodby Silver Senior Partners, and we have Bay FC as one of our clients. And we designed their logo and their merch, and I left my house the other morning, and I had my Bay FC hat on, and this woman calls out to me from across the street, and she's like, hey, I love that team. I just bought season tickets. And I thought to myself, oh my God, like, things are really changing, and I'm curious from you two, like, what are your most memorable fan moments that you've had in your career so far?
I like yours the best. You go.
Yeah, we talked. I think. Okay, I have two. It's really like after the LSU games, even away games, there are like 200 to 300 little girls going nuts in the stands, and they're like, "Oh my God, can we get a picture? Can we get an autograph? Can we just touch you?" Like, and that right there goes to show like it's bigger than what we're doing on the court. Like, we're really inspiring lives. Like, some of them girls might not even go play basketball, but maybe I just inspired a lawyer or, you know, an executive that I'm gonna invest in her company one day or anything. Like, and so I think like the fandom is getting crazy. And then I gotta tell y'all this one kid, right? I met his mom. His mom is like, you know, he's always throwing these fours. And I'm like, well, I'm big four, duh. But no, she asked him, he's like, why are you throwing fours? And he was saying, well, I do it because of Lil Baby and Flau'jae. And so it's like that dynamic of being able, little boys being able, knowing that they can look up to a woman and look up to a man at the same time and take pride in that. I think that's really important, and it goes to show the growth of where we're going, like the trajectory of women's sports and how big it's becoming.
Amazing. What about you?
Yeah, my moment would be back in 2019 because that was an era where we were still, all the female athletes being looked at as an inspiration, and I was constantly told that my whole purpose was to inspire a little girl, and like, why else would I play soccer if not to help another generation believe in themselves? It has nothing to do with myself. Well, I was in Portland and I was riding down in a scooter, and this little boy, he goes, "Hey, are you Mitch Purse?" And I was like, I am.
Yes, I am.
And like at the time, it was just the coolest thing because you are just fed over and over. Like you're here for the little girls, you're here for the little girls. And here's a little boy in Portland who just like loves the team, and he like has season tickets and he's enjoying himself and he recognizes people and he's excited about it. And it was the most heartening moment at the time. So that one is my most memorable one for sure.
That's awesome. Well,
That's
you
real.
two have
That's so real.
a really cool project happening, and I want to move us along because I want to talk about that for a little bit. The first unscripted reality series about a sports team, or not even team.
Yeah, female athletes.
Female athletes. And you don't even get a show like that green-lighted unless you can prove that there's an audience to watch it. So can you guys talk about the pitch and what's happening with the show?
Go ahead, Mitch.
Okay, are you sure?
Mitch is the CEO, creator, executive producer, and one of the stars of the show. And I'll tell you, multi-hyphenate, yes, you should clap for that. And what Margaret's telling you is the reality, which is, what, for 5-6 years, we've been inundated with sports docuseries.
Yeah.
How many? Millions. And yet, I noticed there's a striking similarity between all of them, because they all just feature male athletes. And look, let's be honest, if we just abstract away the unscripted format, all of the most successful unscripted shows in the history of television have featured women. So it seems a little weird that it would be all about the dudes. And so as soon as I heard Mitch's idea, I just needed to know where to wire it.
Well, without taking too much time, it seemed like such a no-brainer,
the
way that women's sports is marketed versus men. I mean, it's so, like, men can profit in sports literally based off stats and statistics. Like, men will listen to a radio and be like, he hit the ball. And men will be like, yes, he hit it. And that's, like, all you need. Whereas women, I feel like we're more interested in the storytelling of it. And so the idea to get into the stories and the narratives that are actually going on in our sport and the individual personal stories that are happening in our league that people have no idea about, but they're so interesting, so compelling, so captivating, and having an opportunity to share that in a rare format was just like a no-brainer.
That's cool. Well, I think we have a trailer for the show. Let's watch
Exclusive
a little
premiere.
A little sneak peek.
Right here, just feel.
The NWSL is the hardest league in the world.
Flicked out by Weaver! Sensational!
So all the wins mean so much more.
Magnificent!
But the drama doesn't stop when the season ends.
I stopped just like being the player. I think that makes me special.
Yeah. It's not fun anymore. Am I ready to retire?
Maria signed the record-breaking contract.
Some players don't think I deserve it. It's a lot of pressure.
Diversity's always been an issue. I'm worried because it's no secret
that I'm black.
Are you limping?
No, I'm good. I can play on it. There's always someone coming after my spot. Makes me really anxious.
You want a baby at the end of this year.
You may get pregnant by the end of this year.
I have to decide, like, soon.
It's a risk. All of this is a risk.
You just have to be like a little bit crazy to play in this league.
Do we think we are gonna drink all of this?
I'm here for every ounce of drama. The drama.
Champagne?
Friend turn to foe real quick, honey.
Hey! I feel kind of like I'm back in the playoffs. Do you know what that's like?
People just be talking shit. I just want to play soccer.
Tackle her!
I'm gonna fucking leave right now.
What do I have to do with this?
You're gonna get in trouble.
Cheers, everybody, to frenemies!
Wow.
Oh my God. Okay, this looks like it's gonna be amazing. All right,
Wow.
look, we're coming to the end here. We're gonna just do a speed round, okay? We're gonna fast forward into the future. Alexis,
Yes.
AI, how's it gonna affect women's sports?
Ooh, so I just want to stress, y'all are going to live in a world 10 years from now where little boys and little girls growing up, like they've said, are going to have posters on their wall of women athletes right next to male athletes. And 10 years from now, we're all staring at our screens, AI programmed to show us exactly what we want when we want it. Our souls will die a little on the inside. And we need that humanity from sports. We will never watch robots play soccer or play basketball. In fact, in that world 10 years from now, we'll crave it. Our souls will crave it even more because we'll need it to feel alive, because we need to connect with their struggles. We need to feel their humanity. So
I love
AI
that.
is great.
I love that. Flage, 50 years from now, are you gonna be remembered as a basketball player or a rapper?
Neither. I will be one of the biggest businesswomen in the world.
All right.
Let's go.
I wanna be a mogul. I feel like I'm using my talents in basketball and music to use it as a platform in order to do something bigger in life. I think success is real success, and is when you can change people's lives who you never met. And so I think just creating businesses and opportunities for people is going to be my really big legacy. But they will remember the music. Just remember that.
All right, Midge, soccer, where's it going?
Oh, nowhere but up. I think the NWSL will surpass the MLS on every index point and maybe match our friends overseas.
Love it, love it. All right, last one, Alexis, you're an investor. You have to kind of look into the future, 10, 15 years from now. What's the big headline we're gonna all see about women's sports?
Why the hell weren't people writing the checks decades earlier? And like I said, the people who are investing right now, you've got a window of a couple of years to look brilliant at your job. So send the wire, write the check, support it now, because those are going to be the stories 10 years from now that will make your careers. Because you'll say, yes, I was there before everyone else realized it was so obvious. It will seem absurdly obvious in 10 years.
That's awesome. All right, thanks to all of you for joining the panel, and thanks for coming out.